That was probably the most exciting bit of the video. But if you want to stick around, today I'm going to be talking about how asexuality affects the way people may perceive you and how you may choose to present yourself, whether that's in terms of gender expression, attractiveness from a societal standpoint, or style. I thought it would be fun to change things up a bit with this video, so I'm going to be modelling some of the clothes I wear while I talk about this topic to give you an idea about how I personally present myself. So you may be asking yourself what asexuality has to do about appearance. Surely your orientation doesn't affect the way you dress or style yourself. But I think it does, even if it isn't necessarily a conscious decision. One way I think your style may be affected is in how others perceive you. One common thing people may say to ace people is that they don't look asexual. What that really means is that they don't expect someone who's ace to be attractive, which is a horrible thing to say. Just because you don't feel sexual attraction and may not want sex, that doesn't mean you don't want to look good for yourself or for others. I've seen two extremes in the ace community. On one side, aces who dress practically and or comfortably without thinking of others' opinions, or actively wanting to avoid sex or romantic attention altogether. Or, on the other side, aces who go counter to what is expected and dress sexily, I guess? Which one am I, you ask? Well, I probably lean further towards the latter. I'm just going to say it, being sexy is fun. If you've been watching me flailing around like an idiot, you've probably noticed that some of my clothes are more, form-fitting. Part of that is because I work out and I take ages to replace clothes that are too small for me, but sometimes I do intentionally buy clothes that are more form-fitting. I think that a lot of men who work out do it because they want to be more sexually attractive. Obviously, that doesn't interest me. I mainly do it because I enjoy it and because, yes, it gives me a sorely needed confidence boost. There's nothing wrong with aces wanting to look sexy, and it doesn't mean that you aren't asexual if you do. I mean, being sexy is all subjective anyway. But other than that, how may asexuality affect your appearance and style? How about pride? When you're queer and are finally out of the closet, some people love to wear their pride on their sleeve. Literally. This can be a simple thing like a pride badge or jewellery, an ace ring perhaps, but other people like to go all out and wear something unapologetically queer. I tend on the more subtle side. And that tracks with all the rest of my clothes, honestly. I'm better than I used to be, but I tend to wear more subdued and darker colours. I just prefer them. I don't really know what else to say. And the final point I wanted to touch on in this video was gender expression. The ace community has a high proportion of people who identify as non-binary, significantly higher than the general populace. This is pure speculation on my part, but I think there are a couple of possible reasons for this. One, being in the queer community allows you to explore other facets of your identity more easily, such as gender. Also, asexuality doesn't have the same strong link to gender that other orientations have. It holds no assumptions on gender, so it may be easier to identify as non-binary if you're ace. How about me? Short answer, I'm still cis. While I learnt more about the queer community, I thought it was important for me to question my own gender identity. I wanted to see if a non-binary identity may fit me better. In the end, I still always just felt like a man. But I'm glad I went through that process, because now I'm sure that that's the right gender identity for me. And just because I'm not non-binary, doesn't mean I have to conform to masculinity all the time. In fact, this top I'm wearing now is the first piece of clothing that I've ever bought from the women's section. I wanted a crop top because that seemed like something that would be comfy to wear around the house, and I thought I would look cute in it. And I do. So I thought, what the hell? Fabric has no gender. And if I weren't part of the queer community, if I weren't ace, I don't think I would have gotten to the point where I was comfortable wearing clothes designed for women. To round out this discussion, there are many things that may affect the way you present yourself, and your orientation is just one of those things. But being asexual doesn't mean that you are totally devoid of any hint of sexuality, and you're valid as an ace person no matter how you look. But that is all I had to say today. Do you think that your asexuality affects the way you present yourself? Has being queer helped you express yourself more freely? Are my clothes incredibly boring? Sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. I post videos every Saturday, so if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. That is all I had to say today. Have a wonderful day, and I shall see you next time. But before I go, I shall show you my favourite clothing item.